Okay, so welcome to the next video for COMP3218 at Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name's Dave Millard. I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I am here with...
I'm Tom Blount. I'm another lecturer on the course.
And I'm Max Hammond. I'm one of the demonstrators on the course.
Brilliant. So, Tom, do you want to say a little bit about what we asked the students to do for this batch?
Yeah, so for this coursework we were looking at storytelling in games. So we asked our students to produce another small game prototype that included a story engine. So a game in which the narrative affected the gameplay and vice versa. And we asked them to produce it based on one of three fairy tales: Rapunzel, the Frog Prince, or the Travelling Musicians.
Brilliant. Okay, so what we're really interested to do is to see what they've done with the narrative and how well the games work with the narrative. Okay, let's make a start and see what our first game is. Leznuper.
Is that German for something?
It's Rapunzel backwards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. You're on the ball today.
Right. Okay, so we're going to let Max drive.
So we've got instructions.
Should we look at the instructions?
I think that'd be a good idea.
So it's a really nice title screen they've got. They haven't necessarily remembered all the lessons from the tutorial coursework, but you know.
No, it's funny, isn't it? Because they've got a really professional-looking title screen, but why couldn't they have integrated the instructions, even if it was just at the beginning of the... So movement with WASD and left. Okay.
Okay.
So
I wasn't convinced that exit would exit the instructions.
start
That
game.
looks a bit
That's
buggy.
odd. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Hey,
no matter. Oh, is it a hyperlink? So it's showing ones we've clicked on before.
Oh yes. You wake with no idea of who you are, just the knowledge that WASD is to move and shift is to sprint.
Oh, there you go. There's...
Oh, so they've done it. Okay, well, put the instructions in then.
Hey, it's still a bit of a weird...
Ooh.
Look at this, 3D. Oh.
Okay. So, WASD to move.
Let's dismiss the banner. Hit escape. There we go. So, that's right, we've been told to move, but we haven't been told how to interact with things.
That's shift, wasn't it? Shift was
That's sprint.
Oh.
E, maybe? E's. Oh, hang on. No, it is.
No, press left to left. I must search the room for a way to escape.
Yes, voice acting.
Oh, amazing.
Fantastic.
Congratulations on the
Two
voice
hundred
acting.
days are so long, and pouring alone locked in this tower. All I have is my beautiful ribbon to my long hair.
This is a...
Singing helps pass the time, but I fear it will not keep me so much longer. This is the first of my diary entries, and will attempt to keep me busier.
This is text-to-speech.
It sounds like it.
It's either that or they've processed it to clip out the spaces.
Whoa.
You've woken, girl. You may be wondering where you are. Well, your parents were selfish enough to trade their daughter for the delicious fruits in my garden. And so you are mine to keep forever.
Okay.
That's pretty cool and scary.
I think good choice of assets.
Horrible. Why do I have no memory?
Let's just say you became troublesome, and so I gave your mind a fresh start. I see you found pages from your diary that should get you up to speed on your life, while I hold you in this tower forever.
This is a nice start, isn't it?
You cannot just hold me hostage in this prison. I will find a way to escape.
I mean, so it's a little bit of an exposition dump, but...
Is that your diary on the floor?
I mean, so
Yeah, I did click on that.
we have mentioned that amnesia is a bit of a lazy way to start a game sometimes, but it does give us sort of more of
So I
an
picked up
impetus to sort
something.
of go and explore different
Yeah.
things and sort of to actually sort of explore this prison that we're in rather than already knowing it because we've been here a while.
So that was hairpins.
Was it hairpins? I didn't actually read it.
It was hairpins. Perhaps you can
So
use
you
the
pick a lock or
hairpins
something, yeah.
to pick the lock on the chest. Maybe?
I did go over to the chest.
Yeah, I didn't give any options. Are we...
You have to look precisely at the lock.
Or I'm wondering, was there another interaction button?
Diary
There
entry
we
to
go.
I was singing in my tower one day when along came a woman who complimented my singing and asked if she may climb up the tower and sing to Emma. So I let her sing, took my hair, and we spent the day together. She even bought me a ladder. Unfortunately, it was too small to climb out of the tower, but she said she'd return soon along the one I could escape. She also left me a way to signal her, to leave a candle lit in the window tonight and she would come.
Okay, so that's giving us hints about our next goal.
Yep.
Right. So again, sort of like slight.
And there's a candle by a window.
So maybe
We
we
have
can
to
go
light
and light the candle, maybe.
It looks kind of glowing.
No, I
It's
don't think so.
How do we light the candle?
I'm not sure what else there is to do.
So I think some of the
They said at night, so perhaps if I go to bed.
No.
yeah.
That's not too loud. I must search the room for a way to escape.
So I mean, that's quite nice. So you kind of, it does give you that goal. It might have been nice to give us some more indications of things we can interact with in the room.
There's not that much stuff in here. What's that on the road? What's that? Is that just texture?
It might be. Looking behind the bed.
So what about if you go back to the chest at this point?
I can jump as well.
Ah,
What's that? I don't know if that's helpful. There we go. So this is the thing, right? It's because it's sort of gated by the story, not letting us interact with this ahead. Like, there's no reason we couldn't have been able to interact with this before.
No, that is problematic, isn't it? So in fact, what the game has done is it's trained us that we can't interact with the chest. And I guess because we're in the room, they just about get away with it, because in the end we just end up, at that point you end up with, on those annoying games where you get to the point of saying, I'll just click on everything, I've given up, trying to figure it
Everything
out.
against everything.
Yeah.
So I guess I should push 1.
Because we know the ladder's too short.
Yeah.
So they're checking that we read the diary properly.
Yeah.
Oh,
So now we've got some matches.
Were they there before?
Don't think so.
So the matches have just suddenly appeared.
yeah, we opened the chest.
I guess we got them out of the chest, but
Oh, we did, didn't
And we
we?
press E to light the candle. I don't like the mouse being in the middle.
it's very strange that we've been clicking to interact on everything else, but this is.
Yeah.
But that's.
Do I have to...
That's the sheet.
And then do you actually have to?
You
You can get a bit closer.
E. Press E again.
Stop right there. You will not escape.
Oh, functions.
I see you found the second diary. You weren't supposed to see
That's
that.
nice.
That
The
was
reason
nice.
I wiped your memory is because of your attempted
So the model was just
escape
put
with your
together. That was
hero.
purposely knocking off the candles.
I killed her and you are staying in this tower forever.
Oh, that's quite nice. There's a little twist.
So that's probably what that black dot was.
Oh, I see. It was just
A
clipping
model.
through
So a couple of things before we go forward. So the fact that there was a scene there that actually that played out in the physical space, I think that's very nice. And I think narratively that's quite a nice little twist as well. You kind of we were planning to get out. When we succeed, we figure out. But actually, we were
It's a dramatic reversal,
yeah,
right?
dramatic reversal. Yeah, so good. Yeah,
So I'm now in this what feels like a prison.
yeah. So because we were kind of. So what happened there? Did she throw you down here or?
She threw the candles, and then she threw the map, and the map revealed this door, and I clicked on the door.
So you've come down here. So
Yeah.
So there's something that skeleton's holding, and there's something on the table.
let's go and
Could this
find
be
out.
another diary entry?
Yeah. Go on.
This must be the real princess. She has a diary entry and the ring mentioned in the diary. So, now I'm the witch of the girl that came to save the princess. If I'm really the witch, then it could escape using those magic spells. But if I'm the girl, then it can use that spell to kill whoever that creature is.
I guess the creature is the witch, but
So I'm confused now. So
So how could she be the witch?
I don't know. She's
And what was
lost
the-
her memory, so
what was the reference to the princess there? She said I could be the princess.
so we've just found the skeleton of the real princess.
How do we know it's the?
Because she's got a ring.
She's got the ring that was mentioned in the diary.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
So it's a bit of a leap there.
Or it says she could be the
again, it's
person who tried
a
to
bit of a nice twist, sort of subverting our
It
expectations of the
is a
story.
nice twist, but
So there is something on the table over there. Is that another diary entry that we can, or are they the magic spells? Oh, so we've got to choose between spells and. Okay, so this is our choice between.
it's the evil witch. So the reason I'm confused here is we've had a number of characters introduced. We have the evil witch already,
Yep.
which we've met.
What? An evil witch.
But yeah, so that witch, and we've got obviously the protagonist, who's us, so we don't know who we are, and then we had a lady who came to save us from the tower.
Yes,
Right.
or were we the person saving the princess from the tower?
Yeah.
So that's the mysterious character. Although it says that on option 1, it says you believe your identity is the evil witch. You try to escape, but don't let the
But
witch catch you.
why would we?
The other witch.
I like what they're trying to do here, but I am really confused by.
So is there
by
two witches, or because it mentioned a
So
monster?
this, so this is the thing, right? There's obviously the the witch that we've seen in this game. So I don't understand why you'd assume that we're actually the witch.
So
but it mentioned a monster in the other diary, didn't it?
Let's press 2.
Maybe
Go on.
witches. Yeah, okay.
Let's say we're the heroine who saved the princess.
I feel like if you're the evil witch, you want to slay the other evil witch. But if you're the heroine, you want to kill the witch. I feel like that's a bad thing. I mean, killing someone's never a good option.
It is in fairy tales.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're going with
all sorts of slaying and boiling.
Yeah, let's just go with option 2. So this is I really like the idea.
Trapdoor. Well, I guess I might as well tell you the truth now.
Is she here or is she?
I don't know.
Maybe she's upstairs. So this is it.
Okay.
I like the idea they go
You
for.
are
You
the
might actually be the
real witch that trapped that poor princess in the tower, and I came to save her. In the fight between us, you killed the princess. As punishment, I decided to put you through the punishment you put upon the princess. And so now, you must be killed.
Oh. Okay. It's a twist. So we're the witch.
sort of immediate resolution of that choice.
Yeah.
Oh, you've actually got a character.
Yeah, look there. There you are. Oh yeah.
See through my body.
Alright, so let's go and try and stab the witch, and presumably we can't because we're not the heroine.
Whoa.
Can you
She
press?
can walk through.
No, that's not
Oh,
enough.
no.
That's time for
So
that.
you are going to
Yeah.
escape.
Go on.
I don't know if I've hit her or...
There's
Yes.
not a lot of feedback.
Oh, I think you're doing a good job.
You successfully escaped the
But after
tower,
the fact you are actually the evil witch.
but surely we'd actually be the evil witch whether we picked up the spear or not.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go through it again and quickly see if, pick the other option and see what happens.
Can't move the mouse now.
Just restart it.
Yeah. Let's
Oh,
reload it.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. So while you're playing through and picking the other option,
Mhm.
and let's say so we're going to
Should I
just
lower the sound down?
yeah, go on. So I'll do it. So so we'll go through, pick the other option, and we'll say that we're the evil witch and see what happens.
Maybe we'll turn out to be the heroine.
So in terms of quality, it's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, there's
That's
kind of I know it's a really simple two-room environment, but that's
So
fine.
I
It's
can't
only
pick that up now. So I have to look at this diary entry first. And it doesn't.
And 200 days is so long.
Yeah.
The thing that sort of bugs me is that I really like the idea that actually we've lost that memory and actually we were the evil one all along.
Yeah.
But there's no hint to that throughout any of these diaries or anything like that. There's nothing that makes that decision in the final act meaningful.
Yes.
It's just we have to guess.
Woke and down. You may be wondering.
But I think the engine they've got to deliver it, this game environment, the use of the dialogue, the use of the voice acting, they've got the little bit of fighting in there. They've got quite a lot going on here.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the quality of the game itself, I think the quality is pretty good. I think you're right. When you get to think about the story engine and the choices you make in the game, so for a start, the problem is that what should be happening is the story engine should be adapting the game to where the story is, or at least
To an extent it is because we can't pick up certain items until the story's
But
written,
it also ought to
it's-
be doing the opposite, which is it should be adapting the story according to the game world. So the fact is that the story should, if we open the chest first, the story should adapt to adjust to that because that's
is
the
like
agents that we have. So
the
they're
classic
actually
example of the narrative paradox, right?
Yeah,
Because the narrative has to happen in a certain order. We can only take actions in a certain order.
and this is why people don't do this solution, right? So one of the solutions to the narrative paradox is just to force the player to interact in this particular order, but it becomes very frustrating, and they don't quite understand what they can and can't do, and the logical cohesion of the game world falls down. Now, why can't we open the chest?
Yeah.
Like if it had been a case of just we open the chest and then we say, oh, there's a box of matches in here. Well, I don't need to light the candle yet because it's not
Yeah.
nighttime.
Or
It would have been nice if the box was maybe like locked when you tried to.
Yeah, exactly.
or again, put something in there.
Or even just put a combination lock on it and hide the code in that dice.
So if I try
exactly.
to attempt to climb out the window using the ladder,
I imagine we just fall down and die. But
I hope not, because I don't want to go through the story again.
you have to pick the ladder out of the chest.
Let's try it and see. So I think that the game engine actually isn't quite doing what it should be doing.
Okay, so this does the same option no matter what you chose.
But I mean,
So the illusion of choice, but-
so that's the illusion of choice. That's again coming back, and this little character animation is really cute.
Though it's interesting, she still smashes the candles even though it didn't try and work.
That's
Yeah.
true. So what about the
I'm not sure why she did that though.
Yeah.
So what about the use of the kind of the narrative mechanism? So the way that they've used protagonists and antagonists, the way that they've used the kind of delivery messages. They've got some nice scripted scenes. They've got some nice use of in-game text.
I would like to be able to skip through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whenever you have voice dialogue, because it takes so much longer to play than to read, you always want to skip.
So let's grab the spells this time.
Let's do with one.
So we did one before.
No,
No, we did
No.
two before.
we grabbed the spear last time, so we got the spells.
Yeah, let's
So
do one.
we're actually the evil witch. And I will almost be disappointed if it turns out that we're the heroine this time.
Yes. let's find out. So go on,
So we
let's
need
go
to
up
grab
top.
the spells first.
Grab the spells and let's go.
So again, it's why was that choice?
Well, I didn't grab any spear before. It just appeared in my hand.
automatically got it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are
So
still.
perhaps we'll take the spell back after you finish this dialogue. Perhaps, so if you click go forward?
I have to go.
We have to wait.
So again, this choice is sort of meaningless because the ending is still the same. Regardless of which weapon we choose, we can still kill the other witch,
Yeah.
and we still get presumably the same ending, which is we've killed the witch, and now we have to live with being the witch.
So let's go upstairs and see what happens.
Maybe we just cast magic spells, or maybe we find out she was lying to us. all
Oh.
along.
What is she?
That could break the door and come as much.
Yeah, let's do that.
Ah,
Mm.
so there's a whole new section here. It's different. Can you go through the other doors?
I could sprint, so this is a good reason to use that.
Dun, dun, dun.
She followed me very
You must pick one of these three doors.
Oh god, which one should we go for?
The heroine pretending to be you catches and kills you.
I think behind you the witch was chasing you, but you didn't turn around so you didn't see her coming. And you didn't know because you were facing the wrong way.
Well, we were facing the way the story was telling us to face, right?
And the other interesting thing there is it tells you.
So if we were quick enough then we would have maybe gone through the doors. And
Yeah.
That's why the sprinting thing really came
I think you have to sprint and go for a door. But again, why would you pick a door?
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of the way in which the story, they use the story in the gameplay. So I mean, the original story of Rapunzel is all about that kind of has that kind of theme of escape to it. And kind of,
One thing I like is nice is they subverted it and you're being rescued by a heroine, not a prince.
yes,
I thought that was nice.
that's true. And they use that mechanism quite well here, that you are captured and you'll find out why you're captured, and by reversing roles as well. So I think that kind of works. So I think there's a lot to like here. I think the delivery of it is very good, but perhaps they just haven't done quite enough to actually adapt the story so that it changes according to your actions and makes sense of what's going on. And as a result of that, it feels a little bit more linear than it should be, with that kind of key branch at the end.
So I'm just reading through their game notes, and they've got a section called "To see the story instruction, please turn to page 3. Please be aware that this is cheating."
Fine. So what do they say in their game notes about the story structure?
So it is a fairly linear structure, and then you've got the branch at the end where you find the stuff in the chest.
Yeah.
But then it very quickly joins because
Yeah.
regardless of which one you pick,
Yeah.
the witch shows up, shows you the trapdoor, and you very quickly go back into the other linear one. So if you chose the witch and you took the magic spells, the witch chases you as the main door. The witch chases you as you escape through the main door. If she catches you, you die. Or she chases you as you escape through the main door. If you manage to escape, you live. That is not a story branch. That's just
Yes.
whether I got through the game or not.
Yeah. So I think actually the story engine here is not doing an awful lot really.
No.
there's a lot of delivery of story elements.
Mhm.
I think they should get credit for doing that in an interesting way.
It is certainly doing something because it is locking off parts of the game until the story is ready for it.
Yes.
But it's not doing it in an intelligent way.
Okay, we should probably move on. But you know, a nice game, I thought.
Yeah.
But kind of, you know. Okay, so our next game is called Rapunzel.
I suspected a great many of these games are going to be called
Rapunzel.
Okay. So this is one I saw in the expo.
Okay, so no instructions, but I'm guessing arrogance. Rapunzel, let down your hair to me. Okay.
Also, you can't actually climb it. You have to climb the tower the old-fashioned way.
Oh, but you're following the hair.
But you're following the hair. And also, a nice little touch is every time you cross the hair, it's a checkpoint. So the platforms sort of go either side of the hair every time you pass.
That's quite sweet, really. You guys.
Which is handy because this happens a lot.
I can't.
Is there a restart? Or?
You get to push escape.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just make sure you don't die in that case.
Mind the dragons because they will kill you a lot. Just, I honestly, I would leave it not full screen because this will happen a lot.
I'll do that on the next one. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking up strength.
Yeah.
Screen it is.
Alright, let's go.
So when I saw this in the expo, that was,
Is it?
the hitboxes do feel a little bit larger than they should, or rather the jump seems a lot more, you go up a lot more than you go sort of to the side.
So again, just sort of, you know, keep the hitbox small.
I'm not going to be good at this then.
Be on the player's side.
Oh. Oh no.
No, see, that was a mistake, Max.
Rookie mistake.
Right, so, okay, there we go. Now you can see why I got you to play them. So up.
So mind that dragon.
Okay.
And
So
then
there's
this
the
one has
hair,
a check.
and then
There isn't
the sword to fight these monsters.
there isn't a huge amount of feedback that is a checkpoint, but it is.
No, I think so that kind of central conceit of having the hair to guide you and crossing backwards and forwards across the hair to kind of to save. I think that's really quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does need that kind of a checkpoint or something to.
I mean,
come
it doesn't need it because we're going to die a lot, so it is quite obvious. But you know, it would be a nice little bit of polish.
That's true.
It would be good if I didn't have to.
So that's the other thing. The fact that it freezes you there just for just even for a little bit, because we're going to die so much. Oh, you have to go down first. Again,
okay.
not immediately obvious, but that's where your sword is in.
Okay. So, but this is telling us to get the sword.
So I did ask, like, is this sort of the story engine at work? Could we choose not to get the sword? And they said, well, you could, but it would be much harder if you didn't.
Yeah. So I was going to say I'm not quite seeing where the story engine is at the moment.
So how do I use
So
the
it's
sword?
given us a premise.
Sure, is it E maybe?
They told you.
There we go.
Oh god, that would sword.
That's really slow.
So luckily, you don't actually have to hit them with it. As long as you're doing the attack animation, then they die.
Right. Okay. So
I don't get this.
it's not clear to me, what the story engine is doing. So it's giving us we had a premise at the beginning.
So from what I saw,
that's
in the
it so
episode,
far.
there isn't a huge amount in the story engine other than you get these little dialogue prompts sort of when you reach certain points in the level. But other than that, it is mostly just a premise.
That is not a story engine then. So it's not. It's
Not
not.
saying- Go back to your checkpoint again.
That's an interesting question.
I don't know. I didn't find that.
Will it remember your state? We'll find out in about 2 seconds. There you go.
It's weird how they just squash.
It feels as a game. It looks a little bit clumsy to control. What's it like to control it?
I'm getting used to it.
That's what I'm saying. When I played it in the Expo, the controls are quite responsive. It's just the jump is not the shape you expect.
This is a fine.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not sure how jumping.
And the attack sort of.
And the attack, so I'm glad that the attack animation is forgiven because it's very, very slow. So at least they give you as long as you're animated, then you're good.
Okay. So back across here.
Oh, good thing that was a checkpoint.
Yeah.
So I can't attack and jump.
I think you can just drop past that one.
Okay.
Oh.
So this was about the part of the game that I got stuck at in the Expo.
Right. So you drop down there, I need to apply to reach that platform.
So there are little pickups you can get. So there's one on the other side of these spikes that give you like a double jump. And then there are other... There's another one as well, but I don't remember what that one did, because I didn't get to that stage.
See, those
just
spikes
feel like
are
I
really
made that.
unforgiving, aren't they?
But it's the fact that your jump length is about the same width as those spikes.
Yeah.
Did that the first time.
That's, again, very unforgiving to sort of have that drop.
Yeah, onto spikes.
A blind drop as well. So I mean, we've seen it a couple of times, but even so.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the other thing, you've got that enemy that's patrolling, so we don't know
So-
what stage
So
it
in
is.
their game notes, what did they say about their story engine?
Story
Because
So we've implemented a simple story engine that triggers events based on progress within the playing area. So Rapunzel's hero is seen flying down the middle of the area. Each time they pass it, it's a checkpoint, and a new level begins with different boundaries further down.
okay. So that isn't a story engine, right? I mean, what they're basically doing is they're providing us with a premise and some tutorialing. But the reason I say it's not a story engine is that the story engine should have should be able to change things. We'll have outputs in the game world. It will have consequences, and then choices you make in the game world will change the story engine. So here, there aren't any. I mean, you could argue that you have to reach a certain point before something triggers, but that is a very, very weak association. And then there is no narrative interaction with the rest of the environment, really. So what we have here is a platformer with a premise.
Essentially, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, as a game, that's fine.
As far as the game goes, but as we asked for
but
a prototype.
we asked for something with a very explicit story engine, so that's a shame. I mean, as a platformer, it looks like it's difficult, but actually not bad. I mean, it looks like it's got some nice elements to it. It seems to work quite well. I said it kind of looks so unforgiving. I can't imagine it's enormously fun. I'm guessing it's frustrating more than fun, but
A little bit.
it's that's following in the style of many a 1980s platformer.
All it needs is an insert 25 cents to continue.
That's right, absolutely. So in terms of so we said the story engine is almost non-existent. I mean, I think I would argue it probably isn't non-existent, but
I'd argue it's technically one, but a very, very simple one.
so
events are triggered by the
you
progression.
reach a certain point. Yeah. So what about the use of narrative?
So they've got these speech bubbles that pop up, so your characters are narrating as you go through. But a lot of them are
Frustrating.
They're not really exposing the story.
No.
They're just telling you, oh, I need a story.
And there is no other type of storytelling. So the environment isn't telling you the story.
So we've no idea why Rapunzel has been guarded by these dragons.
There's no real. The protagonists aren't. Sorry, the antagonists aren't really. They're mechanical, but they're not really narratively explained or emphasised. Yeah. So yeah, this feels to me like a reasonable, if difficult, platformer with a basic narrative premise.
Yeah, but unfortunately it's lacking that complexity that we're hoping for.
I think we should move on.
Okay. Let's die first.
This shouldn't take long.
Oh, I made that.
Are you going to make it now? This is the last.
Yeah, now we said we should
move on. You're going to actually complete it. Go on then. We'll give you this as your final chance. That looks really evil.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. We've had enough. All right, let's move on. Right. So our next game is called Rapunzel. Again. There we go.
I saw this on the Expo as well.
So we appear to have a problem with the.
So this also happened with the Expo as well, but
So it just doesn't like it still goes off the side.
it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay. So it was.
So
Then he heard a song which was so amazing or charming or something, but he stood still and listened. Okay.
After a long time, he saw the enchantress something there, and he heard how she cried.
Okay.
Imprisoned? Had imprisoned someone. We'll go with that. Rapunzel led on. So again, sort of that premise at the start of the game.
Yeah. Saw the bones that bang, the Enchantress climbed up. Something Rapunzel, okay.
Immediately the hair fell down and the king's son climbed up.
So this is effectively a kind of in a full game might be a cutscene or something.
Yeah.
Here we go, the JRPG style. Dolly, who are you? How did you find me? It's odd to jump from anime to Western style quite like that, but fine.
Looks really like, what's his name? Is it Chris Pine? No, it's in the new stuff.
It does look like Chris Pine, yeah. Who are you?
I just climbed up your hair and into your tower. Who are you, by the way?
I was kidnapped by an
It's a long
enchantress since I was
story.
born. It's a long story.
Okay. So we moved from kind of
Rapunzel told the
cutscene.
story to the prince.
We've kind of gone from cutscene to kind of dialogue. But okay, fine. Yeah.
It's still essentially cutscene.
Yeah, it is really. Could you turn me around? Okay.
Now who's in love?
I have some love for you. It's very easily swayed, isn't it? This game?
Yeah.
Fairy tale as well, which going to do.
Yeah.
So, in this game, Prince gives us 3 different options for how we can approach this problem. And so I
Okay.
spoke to them. So, I tell you what, I'll wait until we see the options.
Let's
and
get
I'll let you pick one,
let's get
and then I'll explain.
Second way is I can kill all the monsters tomorrow, take the watches on here, or I can come here every day and bring a piece of silk and nudge you into a ladder. I will take you where those can't take a long time. Well, since Max is under control, so I think Max should kill all the monsters.
So the first option was
Fight the Enchantress.
fight the
The
enchantress.
second option is fight all of the monsters in the tower. Third option is magic silk.
Magic, so.
Well, sorry, just regular silk. Silk
So-
ladders.
Is that a
So again, we've got these 3 options. So this one says it will take a long time, but we don't really know what the consequences of these actions are.
No.
So let's just pick
That's-
one arbitrarily. Let's
So, I will tell you that
these-
your choice here will fairly dramatically affect the difficulty of the next bit.
Alright, so let's defeat the monsters. in
I'm
the
not
tower.
sure which one I'm clicking on.
I don't know. Yeah, we've got some
I think
kind of-
it's just the one on the end. Or maybe characters, I don't know.
Let's do that. Maybe.
No, just use it now, just click it.
Yeah, it's strange. Defeat the monsters.
Fine.
I'm gonna go with silk into the ladder. That sounds like the easiest option. She's been there her whole life, so she's given it a few days.
So
Okay.
here's the thing. So you were picking the difficulty option there, and you're right, that does sound the easiest. It's not, it's the hardest.
Just until one day. Okay.
The enchantress remarked nothing of this until one day. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, see, Rapunzel let the cat out of the bag. Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
So now we're in World of Warcraft.
So she tries to trick the prince by cutting off the hair and tying it around the bedpost.
Yeah.
I would just sort of skip through into this dialogue now.
Use the version I've got of the Prince. Who are you? Where's my lady? There's an awful lot without us doing very much here.
Okay.
Use some fight skills. So we have a fight.
What's okay.
Don't worry about it too.
Okay, each turn the player control the roll for each move, attack, or movement skill. Quick rest.
Looks like there's no space there.
Yeah. So again, going back to our tutorial stuff, this is an awful lot of explanation up front rather than telling us what to do as we're doing it.
Yeah, I did say something like random. How do I move?
So it's
Players
the witch
turn.
goes first because the witch has greater
So
dexterity.
you can move or
So
attack.
you can move or attack. You can only attack the squares around you as the prince, I think. So you probably want to move over.
So move and attack it.
And sort of gameplay wise, this is actually like very nice. Like it's a little bit what's the word? It's a little bit jarring compared to the sort of intro we had.
Oh, I didn't know I put a tank.
Oh, no, sorry, diagonals don't count.
So also it's not clear what, I know it's probably just told us, but it's not clear what action points we have.
I think we don't. So we've got this passive skill that costs 4, but it's passive. You don't activate that.
Okay.
It just lets
So it
us.
costs 4 what?
I think that blue bar.
Oh,
But yeah, sort of.
So what is this?
that must be
That's
the
your
health.
health.
So why did I've already lost 7?
Don't know.
Let's rest and see what
I
happens.
think possibly because she got hit in first because she has.
So now move so you can attack her.
So if we pick the middle option, we actually get a very different looking level. We get a sort of a ring with lava in the middle. We have a party of allies that we've brought along with us, and we're fighting a bunch of different monsters.
Okay.
But there's no indication of any of that when we make our choice. And they said they actually wanted. So this is supposed to be the hardest one because it's just you versus the Enchantress.
Yeah.
And they were saying they sort of wanted to deceive the player, so it sounds like an easy option, but actually it's a hard one. And I don't understand why. Why?
Also, our passive skill only works when we destroy an enemy, and therefore it's of no use in this fight.
Correct.
So, here we are.
So I'm not 100% sure if it's even possible to win this one. Just
because I moved to the wrong point, I'm going to die. And I don't know how much health. Oh, I do.
Well, hit 11, yeah. So I think...
And that's
I think if you'd have meet the attack turn instead of making that mistake...
I think even then you
might
still
win
would.
it.
Because she had 25 health and you don't do that much damage per turn.
Yeah.
Not sad.
Okay. Where's it saying? People it's got these sad signs.
Oh, that's hard to read on this movie.
Yeah. Moving text is...
Oh my god.
What a horrific end.
Where do you find that image?
So Rapunzel is doomed to wander the tower as some sort of horrible white.
She could be falling over.
It's a ghastly white or a white ghast. Right. Let's try again and do one different one.
Select the middle option. So again, this is this an alternative ending, or is this just a game over screen?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this then. So in terms of quality...
so if we once we actually see the second, if we pick the second choice in the choice that we're given and sort of look at the actual gameplay there, it's actually not bad. There's been a lot of effort they put into highlighting the squares you can move, different attacks you can
So what they've actually got, they've got a little engine to do these kind of JRPG style dialogues. They've got some cutscene stuff, and they've got a little isometric fight simulator thing that seems to work pretty well. So yeah, I agree. I think they've done a pretty nice job.
So it's not necessarily the most cohesive visually because we have these.
No.
So A is sort of the Western and Japanese art style sort of meshing together, but also I don't know. We sort of, I guess you do get a lot of JRPG style things where you do sort of go from the sort of narratively, visually cutscene like this. To the
I mean, this is fine.
Warcraft.
But yeah, it's kind of, and then where do these people come from? This is a bit random that they'll jump in.
I thought his friends would be like guys from the pub or something, not a mage. And
Also, this is a cleric, not a mage, don't say.
oh, the mage. There's another one.
Oh yeah, the other one's the mage.
This will be good. Oh wow! So we've got loads of stuff going on now.
So we've got a bunch of different enemies.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of different players.
Yeah. So it's actually quite a complicated little combat series.
So is this me?
And
no,
they've got,
you're the cleric.
and they can only move around certain bits of it as well. So it's not just an open field.
Yeah.
It's got a,
So interestingly, your cleric is actually stuck between your two characters because it's a one-tile wide thing.
yeah,
But that's actually sort of where you want the cleric to be. So I'm less worried about that.
yeah. So cleric can heal. Okay. If they wander too far away, she has to make a decision about which one to go.
So that's actually kind of interesting.
I think as a little combat game. So obviously when you're playing a JRPG, it's very usual that there is like a combat mini game, right? And those combat mini games can be really quite good fun, and they can be quite strategic and really quite interesting. And this looks to me like it's done very nicely.
The problem is, story engine-wise, I'm not sure there's a whole lot there.
So in terms
of bolted on.
In terms of a story engine, so you've got all the cutscene at the beginning. It's all just premise.
Yeah.
So the story engine is your choice. So the choice you make is essentially a choice of which minigame, which platform you go into.
It's essentially a difficulty choice, and there's no indication that it is.
No. So it's not. First of all, it's not really a meaningful choice because you don't really know anything about the consequences of your actions.
Like if you'd had a small mini fight to get to the tower, and then once you're in the tower, you had to choose: do you want to fight these kinds of enemies or these kinds of enemies? Or something like that. That would be a much more coherent, meaningful choice.
Yes. Or if there are other kinds of consequences or costs to doing it.
So I've killed this weird
thing. Yeah. Keep going, Max. You're doing a good job.
I use Blizzard, so I can't actually move because I'm stuck.
Yeah. But in terms of when those choices then have consequences, you then either win or don't win the minigame, right?
Two sections of the game are with agnostic to set after the third selection. Lead the game to well.
So I'm playing it safe here.
They've tried to explain it in the way. So let's talk about. So I think the story engine aspects are quite weak. I think there's almost no real interaction between the story and the game. There's that one key decision.
And just the fact that they deliberately try and make the hardest choice seem like the easiest one seems a very strange thing to do. So I spoke to them about this in the expo, and I was saying, if it was the witch posing this choice, that would make total sense because it's the evil character and they want to misdirect the prince.
Yeah.
And that would make sense because then we can use our knowledge about that character and say, no, they're trying to mislead me, I'll pick a different option.
Yeah.
But, Rapunzel, it's actually the prince offering the choice and Rapunzel making it. So why would they trick them like that?
So what about the other aspects of this then, which is to do with the kind of the design of the story? So how well it gels with the game, how well they've used characters in the game, how well they've done pacing, all those kind of elements to it. So they've got some quite nice characters, although they don't do an awful lot to build them up. So here we are, Max is fighting with the mage, the cleric, but
I feel like this one's very hard to lose.
They're stereotypes, I guess. They're not used narratively.
That's the thing. They're sort of, having the stereotype there is all right because for sort of this kind of RPG task gameplay, we immediately understand that the wizard can do spells, the cleric can do healing, the fighter can hit things with a stick. So that's fine. But you're right. It doesn't come across into the narrative. They're just some friends of the prince that have come along for the ride. They have no character beside. In fact, they have no character. They're just
no. And the witch is our antagonist as well, kind of exactly the same problem, really. So a mechanical antagonist, but not really established particularly well, and not particularly interesting in the game either. Mechanically, she's just a very tough enemy. She doesn't have kind of.
So I'm going through.
Oh, there's another level.
Oh my goodness! You've got to fight him again.
Oh god.
So going through the report, they do seem to say that depending on which path you pick, it will affect the ending, and not just in terms of win-lose. So each of them has a sort of a separate win-lose ending.
Yeah. But again, I think that's just so putting a premise or putting a well done conclusion screen on does not make the game a narrative game. And it's nice if it has different endings, but
there has to be some sort of...
Those endings are again, they're going to be arbitrary, because effectively
because the first choice we made was totally arbitrary, so it's not like our decision had a meaningful impact on it.
And then we're finding out what narrative the consequences of that was. Which is a shame.
So it is nice that, sort of gameplay-wise, it is nice that the shape of the level changes, so that we get to sort of experiment with these different tactics.
I really like this minigame. Yeah. This is a really cute little fighting minigame.
But I think for the first, for the first coursework, if they sort of had slightly more tutorial bit at the start, this would have been fantastic.
This would have been a really nice game, yeah. Even things like the little graphics in the top left, the way that the information pops up, it's really good.
I suspect that thing in the top left may be from the assets too, but I could be mistaken.
I would say.
Mage is going to die.
If your mage dies, is that game over? Is that everyone dies? The problem is also, if there are more levels after this, we are going to struggle to actually reach this.
I think we're gonna see if you can beat this lot, and then we're gonna have to call it a day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it sounds like what we have here is a really nice fighting minigame with some narrative context around it, but very few kind of really meaningful choices, and therefore not really any meaningful agency for the player, and a story engine which is, again, almost non-existent because you're just making the choice about which minigame you play. Well, essentially you're making a choice which level you play.
Yeah.
So there are 3 levels, pick a level. And then you get a different outcome at the end. So that's a shame.
game now. So you've lost the wizard.
It's not a choice to put multiple games in, given that we asked for it to be completable in a 10-minute Let's Play.
Mm-hmm. So it's partly because this is where it's supposed to be fighting through all the different levels of the tower.
Yeah.
As opposed to just taking on the enchantress.
And again, as a game, the idea of fighting through levels of the tower through a series of these games is actually quite nice. But you could have done much more to embed the narrative into this.
I say it doesn't necessarily tie into the themes of like the story of Rapunzel as a whole.
So if you had this as your base game and you wanted to kind of put a story around it,
I can't heal
by all means put a premise at the beginning. But make the narrative play out in this space. Make actions that you take in this fight sequence matter. Right? Put scripted sequences in the levels. I think we're going to have to pause it there. So nice core gameplay, but really not much of a narrative structure around it. Okay, let's move on.
I think was that our last one?
Is that our last one? Okay, in that case, we shall finish up. So thank you very much for listening, and we will be back shortly with another video.